me welcome Jami.
Thank you, Ms. Postmaster, ladies and gentlemen, guests. This year to date, there have been 151 fatalities and 548 incapacitated injuries on Michigan's roadways. Did we hear that right? You heard that right. Think about it. Only 2.5 months into the year, 151 fatalities, 548 incapacitating injuries. One of the crash patterns that contributes to this statistic are the median crossover crashes on the freeways. Any freeway with an unprotected median leaves a potential to any vehicle running off the road to result in an overturn on the freeway or to continue all the way through, crossing over to the opposite bound and having a head-on collision. Both crash types, great potential for fatalities and serious injuries. So in 2008, MDOT began installing the cable median barrier along the freeways, and I'm sure at this point most of us are very familiar with those. They run parallel to the roadway, just like the more traditional single beam guardrail we were used to seeing would. But instead of the single beam, it's composed of 3 strands of cable, a top, a middle, and a bottom, running along generally closer to one bound or the other. And this rail is designed to absorb crashes. And if a body were to hit it, it grabs it and pulls it right along with the cable instead of pushing it back into the roadway, which the traditional beam guardrail would do. So anytime you have a new device or mechanism that you're putting into effect, people, especially in the general public that don't know the science behind it, it raises concerns and questions, and a lot of times myths are born. So one of the myths that I have heard most commonly associated with the cable median barrier is that of the cheese cutter effect. And as I kind of described it a little bit, the cable median barrier is designed to pull a body into it and ride it right along with the barrier. And I have heard a lot of concern from people that rather than doing that, if a body hits that barrier, rather than being redirected, that body is just going to continue and go right through that cable, in effect, pieces of cheese. So it kind of makes sense, if you don't know the science behind it, body in motion stays in motion, why wouldn't it just slice right through? And I think the concern is mostly geared towards motorcyclists, as they're not protected by a vehicle like the other motorists. Well, in 2014, research was completed that evaluated the effectiveness of the cable barrier in Michigan. And I'm very happy to be able to tell you that not a single instance of a report of the cheese cutter effect had been made since the time of installation. And I have also come across a couple of other national research projects that also state worldwide there are no known reports of a cheese cutter incidents. So in addition to debunking the cheese cutter myth, the guardrail has actually proven to be very effective where it's been installed. In areas where the cable has been installed, we've seen a 90% reduction in crossover crashes, a 50% reduction in the overturn crashes, and a 33% reduction in the fatalities and incapacitating injuries. So our big takeaways from the cable barrier is the cheese cutter myth is debunked. If anybody finds themselves flying off the roadway staring straight at this cable, keep your eyes open, keep yourself together, you're going to come out of it in one piece. And it's been very, very triumphant against fatalities and injuries and